Have you ever loved someone who suddenly became distant? Someone who used to laugh with you, but now barely responds? Maybe that person is a Taurus. And maybe they're hurting more than you know. Here's something most people don't realize. Taurus, the zodiac symbol of strength and stability, is also one of the most emotionally fragile signs. When hurt, they won't cry in front of you. They won't ask for help. Instead, they'll hide behind silence, behind routines, behind a mask of "I'm fine." But inside, they're struggling. What if you've misunderstood them all this time? Today, we're going to open a door into the hidden emotional world of Taurus. You'll discover not just behaviors, but the psychology behind them. Why they pull away. Why they seem cold when they're actually craving love. Why their silence isn't rejection, but self-protection. If you're a Taurus, or love someone who is, this video might help you understand what words alone can't explain. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and stay with me. Because what you're about to learn could change your relationship forever. And hey, if you find value in this, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more deep insights, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's begin. When a Taurus feels hurt, their first instinct isn't to cry or ask for help. It's to stand taller, to act like nothing happened. But here's what people miss: that strength you see is often just a mask, a defense mechanism. Deep inside, they're scared. Scared of being vulnerable. Scared of being hurt again. So, they push people away. Not because they want to, but because they believe it's safer that way. Maybe you've seen this before. A Taurus friend who suddenly insists, "I'm fine." A partner who stops sharing their thoughts without warning. You ask what's wrong, and they shrug. But their silence speaks louder than words. Behind that silence, there's pain they don't know how to explain. In moments like these, Taurus becomes hyper-independent. They stop relying on others. They convince themselves they don't need support. Why? Because depending on someone feels like giving them a weapon. One that could be used to hurt them again. It's not pride. It's fear, hidden behind self-sufficiency. You might notice them handling everything alone. Refusing help, even with small things. Cleaning the house obsessively. Throwing themselves into work. Not because they're strong, but because being strong feels like the only safe option. If you're watching someone you love doing this, remember, sometimes independence isn't a sign of healing. It's a symptom of hurt. Another subtle sign? Their environment. Taurus, as an earth sign, is deeply connected to the physical world. When they're emotionally unstable inside, they try to control everything around them. Have you noticed them suddenly reorganizing their room? Needing everything perfectly clean? Maybe becoming fussy over details that never mattered before? This isn't just about neatness. It's their way of creating external order to feel less chaotic inside. By controlling their environment, they feel a small sense of power in a world where their emotions feel uncontrollable. Pay attention to this. It's easy to dismiss as simple perfectionism. But often, behind that obsessive tidying, there's a heart quietly falling apart. A story comes to mind. A listener once shared how her Taurus husband, after an argument, spent hours rearranging their entire living room. Not a word spoken. Not a tear shed. Just silent work. She thought he was avoiding her. But in reality, that was how he processed the hurt. He couldn't express it. So, he arranged furniture instead. That's how deep this coping mechanism can run. And then, there's something even more invisible, but just as powerful. When Taurus feels hurt, they retreat inside their memories. They start romanticizing the past. You might hear them saying things like, "Things were simpler back then," or "I miss how things used to be." This isn't nostalgia. It's an emotional escape. The past feels safe. It's known. It's predictable. The present? It's messy, painful, uncertain. By mentally escaping to yesterday, Taurus protects themselves from today's discomfort. They hold on to old memories, not because they're sentimental, but because it's less frightening than facing what's hurting them now. Think of someone who keeps rereading old messages from someone they've lost. Or someone who returns to places that once made them feel loved. It's easy to think they're stuck in the past. But really, they're trying to survive the present. Now, perhaps the most heartbreaking reaction of all. When Taurus is deeply wounded, they begin to question themselves, doubting their own judgment. And that's not typical for this sign. Taurus is known for being grounded, decisive, practical. But emotional pain cracks their confidence. They start to ask themselves, did I make the wrong choice? Did I trust the wrong person? Is this my fault? This self-doubt can spiral silently. On the outside, they still look composed. But inside, they're second-guessing every decision, wondering where they went wrong. And in this space of doubt, they become even more isolated. If you're close to a Taurus who suddenly stops making decisions, who lets you decide everything, or who seems strangely passive, know this: they're not lazy. They're not indecisive. They're hurt. And they're scared to trust themselves again. The weight of emotional pain for Taurus isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's heavy. Silent. It's the kind of pain that hides behind daily routines and soft smiles. But if you look closer, you'll see it. So, what can you do? Be patient. Don't force them to open up. Don't demand answers they can't give. Instead, be consistent. Be present. Show them they're safe, without needing them to explain why they feel unsafe. Because healing, for a Taurus, doesn't come from being questioned. It comes from feeling safe enough to finally put down the mask. And sometimes, your quiet presence is all the safety they need. When a Taurus is emotionally hurt, something very subtle starts to happen. You won't always notice it at first. But if you look closely, you'll see how they begin to search for comfort in things outside of themselves. It might look like comfort eating, reaching for snacks late at night, or buying things they don't really need just to feel something. Food, shopping, soft blankets, even long baths, anything that pleases their senses can become their escape. Why? Because Taurus is ruled by Venus, the planet of pleasure, of physical comfort. When their emotions hurt too much, they try to soothe their heart by feeding the body. It's their way of telling themselves, if I can't heal inside, maybe I can feel good outside. But that comfort doesn't last. It fades quickly. And often, it leaves them feeling emptier. I once spoke to a woman who shared that after a breakup, her Taurus partner would bake entire cakes at midnight. Not to share, just to eat alone. Not because he was hungry, but because the warmth of the oven, the smell of vanilla, the sweetness, helped him forget, even if only for a moment. That's how Taurus copes. They try to replace emotional nourishment with physical pleasure. But no matter how much they indulge, the ache inside remains. And that's when something else shifts. Taurus starts working. Not just their regular tasks. They bury themselves in work, in projects, in endless to-do lists. To outsiders, it looks productive. People might even praise them for their dedication. But deep down, it's not ambition driving them. It's avoidance. By focusing on tasks, by filling every hour, Taurus can avoid facing what's really hurting them. Work becomes their emotional shield. The busier they are, the less time they have to sit alone with their pain. And this can go on for weeks, sometimes months. A Taurus who's hurting doesn't want to pause. Because resting means thinking. And thinking means feeling. I remember a story of a man who, after losing someone he loved, worked 14-hour days. Built a new garden from scratch. Took on projects he never cared about before. People admired his hard work, but no one saw that he was using every shovel of dirt to bury his grief. If you see a Taurus pushing themselves beyond reason, stop and ask, gently, what are they trying not to feel? And remind them that healing isn't something you can outwork. Sometimes, doing nothing is the hardest, but most necessary, work of all. Now, while they're busy pretending nothing hurts, something curious happens in their personality. Sarcasm starts creeping in. Little remarks. Cynical comments. Jokes that feel sharper than before. This isn't Taurus being mean. It's them protecting themselves. Humor becomes their new armor. Sarcasm lets them express pain without admitting they're hurt. It's easier to joke about your own misery than to say, I'm not okay. So, they use irony. They laugh about things they once cared deeply about. If your Taurus friend starts making sarcastic jokes about love, about trust, about their own worth, pay attention. Behind those casual words, their heart might be quietly breaking. Don't laugh along too quickly. Pause. And ask yourself, are they joking? Or are they hiding? Because cynicism, for Taurus, is a silent scream for understanding. And often, they don't even realize they're doing it. This is also when patience, one of Taurus's most beautiful traits, begins to fade. Normally, Taurus is steady, calm. They're the ones who don't rush, who wait, who let life unfold slowly. But when they're emotionally wounded, that patience runs out. Suddenly, small things irritate them. They snap over minor issues. Waiting in traffic feels unbearable. A delayed message makes them angry. They're frustrated not because of those little things, but because inside, they're overwhelmed. Their emotional energy is depleted. Think about it. When your heart is heavy, every little inconvenience feels heavier too. For Taurus, who usually holds everything together, emotional pain makes their world feel chaotic. And they don't know how to carry it anymore. That's why they lose their temper. That's why they react to things they'd normally ignore. If you're close to someone who's usually calm, but suddenly sharp and impatient, take it as a warning. Something deeper is wrong. Don't react to the outburst. Respond to the wound. Instead of fighting their anger, hold space for their pain. Let them know it's safe to slow down. Safe to breathe. Safe to admit they're not okay. Because that's the truth Taurus struggles to say out loud. I'm not okay. They'd rather pretend. Rather build walls. Rather keep working, eating, laughing bitterly, snapping at little things, than sit in silence and admit their heart is hurting. But underneath all these behaviors is the same simple truth. They're scared. Scared of being hurt again. Scared of trusting someone with their vulnerability. And most of all, scared that maybe, this time, the hurt is too much. So, if you see these signs, don't push. Don't demand explanations. Be patient. Stay present. And remind them that love doesn't need to be earned. That healing doesn't need to be hidden. That even the strongest souls deserve to fall apart, safely, in the arms of someone who understands. Because what's coming next in this journey? The next part of Taurus's emotional labyrinth reveals something even deeper. 3 hidden patterns. 3 silent behaviors that not only protect them, but sometimes destroy their chance to heal. What you'll discover might change the way you see Taurus forever. When a Taurus carries emotional pain, something shifts in how they connect with the people around them. Slowly, without realizing, they begin to pull away from their closest friends. Their family, even their partner. Not in a dramatic way. Not with big goodbyes, but through quiet distance. Cancelled plans. Messages left unanswered. Conversations that feel shallow, where once they were deep. You might think they're just busy or tired, but the truth is much heavier. For Taurus, withdrawing from their social circle isn't about rejection. It's about protection. The more they care about someone, the more they fear being hurt by them. So, when they're wounded, their instinct is to hide. Like a hurt animal retreating to a quiet corner. They need space. But not because they've stopped loving the people around them. It's because they don't know how to show their pain, and showing nothing feels safer than showing too much. If someone close to you suddenly pulls away, ask yourself, are they avoiding you, or are they trying to survive their own emotions? Sometimes, giving them space is the kindest thing you can do. But even more powerful is letting them know that when they're ready, you'll still be there. No pressure. No expectations. Just presence. Because for a Taurus, silent loyalty is often louder than words. At the same time, something changes inside their heart. A Taurus who is usually generous, caring, and patient might suddenly become more selfish. It feels confusing. Even shocking. You see them putting themselves first. Turning inward. Saying no when they used to say yes. You might even feel hurt, thinking they've stopped caring. But what's really happening is deeper. When a Taurus is emotionally wounded, their world shrinks. Their own pain takes up all the space inside them. It's not that they've stopped caring about others. It's that they've stopped having the energy to care. Emotional hurt drains them, leaving little room for empathy or consideration. Self-focus becomes a survival mechanism. Putting themselves first isn't arrogance. It's self-preservation. They're trying to protect whatever strength they have left. Think of it like this. Imagine someone carrying a heavy burden. At first, they can still help others. Still carry conversations. Still show love. But as the burden grows heavier, every step drains them. Until finally, they have just enough strength to carry themselves, and nothing more. That's what emotional pain does to Taurus. So, if you notice someone you love focusing only on themselves, instead of resenting them, ask, what weight are they carrying that you can't see? And this is where something even more complex begins to appear. Revenge. But not the loud, dramatic revenge you see in movies. No. Taurus doesn't lash out directly. Instead, their pain can manifest as small, subtle acts of quiet revenge. They might become colder, withhold affection, delay responses, do things they know will irritate the person who hurt them. Not to hurt back, but to regain control. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. Once their trust is broken, they don't confront the pain easily. Instead, they seek ways to feel powerful again. And sometimes, subtle revenge feels like the only way. Not because they're cruel, but because their emotional wound tells them, you were powerless when you got hurt. Now, take back some control. A woman once told me her Taurus friend, after being betrayed, didn't argue, didn't cry. She simply became distant. And whenever the person tried to reconnect, she answered their messages hours later, just long enough to make them feel the uncertainty she had felt. That's Taurus revenge. Not loud, but deeply psychological. If you're on the receiving end of this, remember, it's not about punishing you. It's about healing themselves. Misguided healing. Perhaps. But healing, nonetheless. And if you're watching it from the outside, don't judge too quickly. Understand. Behind every act of quiet revenge, there's a heart that once gave everything, and received pain in return. Then comes perhaps the most invisible wound of all. Guilt. Even when Taurus is the one who's been hurt, they start blaming themselves. They replay every conversation, every decision, every choice. Asking, was it my fault? They begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, they deserve the pain. Maybe they trusted too easily. Maybe they opened up when they shouldn't have. And slowly, that guilt poisons their sense of self-worth. This self-blame is especially cruel. Because Taurus is known for being grounded, practical, stable. But when hurt, their inner voice turns against them. They question their own value, their own judgment. They begin carrying pain that doesn't belong to them. If you know a Taurus who's stuck in this cycle, remind them. Gently, consistently, patiently. That not every wound is self-inflicted. That trust is not a mistake. That love, even when it ends in pain, is never something to regret. Because carrying guilt for someone else's actions only deepens their suffering. So now, pause for a moment. Look back at everything we've explored so far. The withdrawal, the selfishness, the subtle revenge, the silent guilt. All these behaviors, they're not the problem. They're the symptoms. Signs that Taurus is silently breaking inside. And yet, there's still more. Still deeper truths to uncover. Because in the final part of this journey, we'll explore the 3 last signs. The ones that reveal the most hidden, the most profound, and sometimes, the most controversial truths about Taurus when they're emotionally hurt. What are they? Stay with me. Because what you'll discover next might completely change how you understand this quiet, powerful, and deeply fragile zodiac sign. Even when a Taurus feels completely broken inside, they won't let you see it easily. Instead, they'll do something most people don't expect. They put on a mask of strength. They walk through life pretending they're fine. They keep working, keep smiling, keep showing up for their responsibilities. On the outside, nothing looks wrong. But inside, everything feels heavy. That's the irony of a hurt Taurus. The more they suffer, the stronger they pretend to be. Because showing vulnerability feels too dangerous. They believe, deep down, that admitting their pain will make them look weak, or worse, open the door for more hurt. So, they become masters of silence, of pretending, of carrying their sadness like a secret they refuse to share. I remember a story from someone who said their Taurus friend went through a painful breakup, yet no one knew for weeks. She kept showing up at work, acting normal, helping others. People praised her resilience. But at night, when she got home, she cried herself to sleep. That's what this mask does. It fools the world, while the heart quietly suffers. And there's something else that happens. Something you may not even realize. A Taurus who once stood their ground, who once made decisions confidently, suddenly gives in too easily. They start saying, whatever you want. They stop arguing. Stop choosing. They let others make decisions for them. At first, it might seem like they're just going with the flow. But look closer. This isn't flexibility. It's exhaustion. It's emotional overwhelm. Making decisions feels too heavy. Carrying the responsibility of choosing feels too much. So, they let others take over. It's a way to avoid the possibility of choosing wrong. A way to avoid facing the fear that their own judgment can't be trusted anymore. When Taurus gives up control, it's a clear sign something inside them has shattered. If you see this, don't celebrate their passivity. Don't think they're finally easygoing. Instead, ask yourself, why did the strongest voice in the room go silent? In relationships, this shows up painfully. A Taurus who once fought for what they believed in suddenly lets everything slide. You ask where they want to go. They say, anywhere. You ask how they feel. They answer, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. It always did. They're just too tired to say it. And that leads to something even more invisible. something most people don't recognize. When Taurus is emotionally hurt, they avoid emotional closeness. Not just with strangers, but with people they love. You might feel them pulling back. Not just physically, but emotionally. You ask questions, and their answers get shorter. You try to connect, and they subtly push you away. Not harshly. Not rudely. But clearly. Why do they do this? Because closeness feels dangerous. Emotional connection means opening up. Letting someone see the pain they're working so hard to hide. And that feels too risky. Vulnerability, for Taurus, means exposure. And when they're hurt, exposure is the last thing they want. So, they build walls. Not to punish you. Not because they've stopped caring. But because caring too much is what got them hurt in the first place. Imagine someone standing in the rain, soaking wet and cold, yet refusing the umbrella you're holding out. That's a hurt Taurus. They reject emotional closeness not because they don't need it, but because needing it feels like weakness. If you love a Taurus like this, don't break down their walls with force. Don't demand closeness. Instead, wait by the wall. Be patient. Be steady. Prove to them, with your actions, that when they're ready to open the gate, you'll still be there. Because that's what they're secretly hoping for. That someone will stay. Even when they push them away. At the same time, Taurus seeks comfort elsewhere. Often, in the physical world. But sometimes, in ways that surprise you. They might start finding comfort in overworking. Or excessive eating. Or shopping. But there's another pattern that appears. They might begin chasing validation. Not in love. But in achievements. A hurt Taurus often throws themselves into measurable success. Into work. Into projects. Into goals they can control. Because when their emotions feel chaotic, they look for something solid. Something they can prove. They think, if I succeed, maybe I'll feel better. If I win at something, maybe I'll stop feeling like a failure inside. And for a while, it works. Praise feels good. Success feels like healing. But it's not. It's a distraction. A Taurus using achievements to fill an emotional void is like someone drinking salt water to quench their thirst. No matter how much they achieve, the emptiness inside doesn't fade. This pattern is dangerous because the world rewards it. People will say, "You're doing great. You're so productive." And Taurus will believe them, ignoring the quiet ache that success can't heal. If you're a Taurus listening to this, pause. Ask yourself honestly. Are you working to build something real? Or are you running from a pain you don't know how to face? And if you love a Taurus, remind them. Their worth was never tied to their work. They don't need to prove anything to be loved. Because their heart matters more than their achievements. And now, we reach the final doorway of this emotional labyrinth. Where the last 3 signs wait. Signs that reveal the deepest, most hidden truths. The behaviors Taurus themselves might not even realize they're showing. In the next chapter, we'll explore what happens when Taurus no longer feels safe inside their own heart. The final 3 signs that many avoid, but everyone needs to understand. Stay with me. Because what comes next could be the key to truly understanding the soul of a Taurus. There's something that many people never realize about Taurus when they're hurt. Something subtle, but powerful. When they've carried the pain long enough, when they've trusted and been let down too many times, they may begin to break promises. They may start to pull away from commitments they once valued deeply. Not because they've become unreliable. Not because they've changed. But because emotional pain has rewritten their priorities in silence. A Taurus values loyalty, stability, consistency. It's in their nature. So when they start stepping back from what they once promised, that's not a sign of carelessness. It's a sign of deep, Invisible hurt. It's their way of regaining control when life feels too overwhelming. Promises start to feel like chains. Commitments feel like pressure. And keeping their word feels impossible when their heart is in survival mode. Imagine someone who once showed up for everyone. Who kept every promise. Who never let anyone down. Then, slowly, they cancel more often. They miss deadlines. They stop replying. People around them may feel disappointed. But what those people don't see is that inside, Taurus is carrying emotional exhaustion heavier than any external responsibility. I remember someone once shared that her Taurus brother stopped showing up for family dinners. He always used to be there. Reliable. Present. But after a betrayal from someone he loved, he stopped coming. Not because he stopped loving his family, but because he didn't know how to sit at that table. Pretend to be okay, and carry that silence one more night. If someone you love, someone dependable like a Taurus, suddenly backs out of promises, pause before you judge. Their distance isn't rejection. It's pain, expressed in the only way they know how. And beneath it all, there's one more thing. One final truth. When a Taurus feels emotionally wounded, they may begin to distrust not just people, but life itself. The world no longer feels stable, safe, predictable. They start to feel like nothing can be trusted. Not even themselves. Taurus thrives on certainty. On things they can depend on. But pain steals that certainty away. Suddenly, even the people they once trusted feel dangerous. Even their own choices feel risky. They close themselves off. They stop letting anyone too close. Because in their mind, closeness now equals danger. Vulnerability equals risk. This is perhaps the deepest wound Taurus carries. The fear that they can no longer trust their own heart. That trusting again will only lead to more pain. And yet, behind that fear, there's still hope. Hope that maybe, one day, someone will prove them wrong. Maybe you're that someone. So now, after walking through all these hidden signs, after uncovering how Taurus really acts when their heart is hurting, let's pause for a moment. Because here's the truth. If you've seen yourself in this video, or someone you love, know that emotional pain doesn't mean brokenness. It means you're human. And for Taurus, it means you feel deeply. Even when the world can't see it. All the silence. The distance. The control. The need to protect your heart. It's not weakness. It's survival. But survival isn't the same as healing. Healing starts when you allow yourself to feel, without fear. And if you love a Taurus, be patient. Let your presence speak louder than your questions. Let them know they're safe, not by pushing them to open up, but by staying close when they pull away. Because sometimes, love isn't about words. It's about being there. Quietly. Steadily. Until the walls fall down. And if today's video gave you something to think about, if it helped you understand yourself or someone else more deeply, don't forget to subscribe. Maybe share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes, one quiet message can reach a heart that's been silent for too long. And remember, there's so much more waiting for you. In the next videos, we'll explore not just how Taurus loves, but how every sign carries hidden stories, and how astrology can help you understand your own heart. So stay curious. And I'll see you in the next chapter.